Good evening. Welcome to the Wareham Planning Board meeting for Monday, July 8th, being held in the Multi-Service Center, room 520, and via Zoom. As this is going to be a reorganization meeting, I'm Carl Schultz, the outgoing vice chairman. Our chairman has retired, so we will reorganize this evening, but I will preside until the reorganization, which is the first order of business on the agenda. We'll start with a roll call. Please say your name and...
Sam Corbett here.
Julie Moran here.
Jane Gleason here.
Carl Schultz here. And for the record, I'll note that Michael Baptiste is not present. Before we go into the reorganization, I do want to welcome Ms. Moran, who joins us this evening for the first time, although she's been sort of helping us in the background. I want to note that Ms. Moran has confirmed that she's been duly sworn in by the clerk, so she is fully authorized to participate. Thank you. So the first order of business is we need to reorganize. We need to elect a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk.
I make a motion, we elect Carl Schultz to chairman of the Wareham Planning Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Chair or the vice chair?
Make a motion, we appoint Jane Gleason vice chair of the Wareham Planning Board. Aye.
I guess aye.
And the chair will vote aye. So that carried, the first motion carried 301. The second motion carried 400. So now we need a clerk.
Make a motion, we appoint Julie Moran clerk of the Wareham Planning Board.
Man, you came loaded for bear.
I came loaded ready.
I have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
we have a motion by Sam Corbett, a second by Jane Gleason. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Just to help Patty out, when you vote, state your name. This was 4-0. The motion was carried 400. So we'll all shift chairs and okay. We're ready to go.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So welcome to the newly reorganized.
Thank you for stepping up, Carl.
You're welcome. Thanks to everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so the first order of business, Julie, going to be Julie's first order of business too. Okay, we have two sets of meeting minutes to approve. The meeting of June 10th, 2024. Any discussion, comments?
I had no issues.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of June 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say your name.
I'm sorry, Sam Corbett, aye.
Wasn't there?
You can
Don't
still,
think I can.
you can
Okay.
still vote to accept.
Aye. Julie Moran.
Jane Gleason, aye.
And Carl Schultz, chair, votes aye. So Julie, one of the duties of the clerk is
Yes.
to
File the
sign
minutes. Yes.
and file them.
Mhm.
So, I don't, Josh, she gives them to the clerk or gives them back to you,
Either to me or,
or give them to?
I just put them back in the box.
yeah,
Okay, so just
we'll take care of it in the office.
sign them.
Okay.
Okay. So we have minutes of June 24th, 2024.
Make a motion, we accept minutes for June 24.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Name, please.
Sam Corbett, aye.
Julie Moran. Aye.
Jane Gleason, aye.
Hang on. Just had a question.
Julie, for reference, I was signing those as my name, a signature, and then as clerk.
Okay. Yep.
Was there anyone in the audience who was here at this meeting, the June 24th? Do you know who the beekeeper was? He stated his name. We didn't catch.
Michael Zajac.
Can you spell that, please? Jillian, can you come forward?
Zajac is Z-A-T-E-K.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yep.
We
I think he
didn't
lives
get
on
his
Old
last.
Plate, over Old Plate in West Wareham. Yep.
Thanks. I will amend the minutes just to make sure his name is properly recorded.
His first name?
Huh?
What was his first name?
Michael, I think we called him Michael the beekeeper. Minutes. Okay, so that's taken care of. Again,
Yep.
accepted as amended 400. Oh, and you could put them back here, in here.
Thank you.
Okay, first order of business is a request for a minor modification by the Target stores at Wareham Crossing. Is there anyone from the applicant here to speak to this?
I have one-on-one.
All right. Hi, all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name is Casey Lieberman. I am a civil engineer at
Excuse
Kimley
me,
Horn,
can you
and
slow-
I am
can you
Target Civil
slow
Engineering
down,
Consultant.
Slow down. Can you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Yes. First name Casey, Casey. Last name Lieberman, Lieberman.
Okay, and you're speaking way too fast for us to capture the minutes. So who are you representing?
Kimley Horn, Kimley Horn, HORN, and I am Target Civil Engineering Consultant.
And I believe you were before us the last time we did a modification. Is that correct? Welcome
Correct.
back. Welcome back. So if you
Thank you.
could please explain your request.
Yeah, definitely. So as mentioned, we got previously approved in May 2022 for the Target Drive Up program. Previously, there were 24 drive up parking spaces in front of the Drive Up store, including a canopy over 12 of them. The work got put on hold, a lot of times passed, and so now they're officially re-kicking it off, but instead this time there's going to be no canopy, and the number of drive-up spaces is decreasing from 24 to 12.
Okay. Do you have any other introductory comments, or I'll let the board ask questions?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Questions?
Nope.
Question, I know that you, Julie Moran, pardon me, had 32 parking spaces that were going to be allocated relative to the 24. Can we assume that with half that number, you're going to only take half the number of parking spaces as well?
Yes, let me double check right now so I have an exact number for you. 1, 2.
Half is 16, but,
Yeah, just because there's some loading areas in between for the employees to walk down, so I don't want to get you an exact number. There'll be 18 spaces, existing standard spaces being converted to the 12.
So not quite half.
So it's a
Okay.
net loss of 6 spaces. Is that right?
No, a net loss of
Correct.
it's a net loss of 18
18
spaces.
spaces, right? So
Well,
originally
except
they
that
take 32, and with the half, now they're down to 18.
Okay.
Yeah, with the original plan, you were going to take away 32 parking spaces. You were going to create
Correct.
some drive-up service spaces, but they weren't really parking. Now you're going to take away 18 spaces.
Correct. So it's it's going from 32 to 18.
Yeah.
And I could share plans on the screen if that helps. I'm not sure if you have it in front of you.
Look at the if anybody wants to see the plans, we did get copies.
We did.
Okay.
Do you have any more questions?
No.
Jane?
No.
Okay, I don't really have a question. To reaffirm, at the last review for the minor modification, we discussed moving where this was. You determined that it was not practical, so the exit and egress is going to be the same as it was originally proposed from the building.
Yep, correct. It's an employee-only door, so there's an existing door already on the building, but and it's further away from the main entrance, so it doesn't interfere with any of the existing traffic flow or where the customers are coming in and out. But correct, same door is being utilized.
Thank you. To the planning office, land use coordinator, Mr. Farady. This was a minor modification to a site plan special permit, correct, originally?
Correct.
Is there a timing consideration for the minor modification approval? It was not started and executed within 2 years. I couldn't find anything either in the bylaws or the rules and regs, but I do know that site plans and special permits have a start requirement. Would that have impacted this?
I don't think you reset the clock if there's a minor modification. So the original issuance and time frame would be in place.
Okay, so there's no issue with the fact that they didn't start the minor modification. So this is now a minor modification to a previous minor modification. How are we going to record this?
We'll just record it as a minor modification to the original.
Okay, and the applicant still has to file it with the Registry of Deeds and Land Court?
Yes.
So in the conditions of approval, we will make sure that, assuming it gets approved, that it has to be recorded with the Land Court. Copies have to be returned to the planning office and the clerk. Requisite inspections and inspection reports will be filed. So Mr. Cudero or whomsoever the town designates will do inspections, and we will get inspection reports. Should this be approved? We didn't vote yet, but are there any other conditions? I didn't see any, there were no conditions in the previous. So I want to make sure we should have noted the requirement for recording and copies of the recording, and we should have noted the requirement for inspections.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see any of those conditions in the last minor mod.
Okay. We will also need as-built plans. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the minor modification with conditions.
I make a motion, we approve the minor modification to special permit for Target Wareham Crossing
With conditions.
with conditions, sorry.
Second,
Second.
I have a second I'll give Julie credit. All in favor?
Sam Corbett, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Jane Gleason, aye.
And the chair votes aye. So, with conditions, file and copies, inspections, and as-built. Okay. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. I'm good. Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Next item is regarding the Hidden Trails development on County Road. It's the cluster subdivision that was approved at the previous planning board meeting. They need to file for name changes, or not name changes, but street names for their roads. We have a report and a recommendation from the Director of Planning, and we have a report for the record from Jackie Nichols saying that they didn't have any issues. Before we move on this, Josh, did we hear from the other required, the fire department?
I think they'll make their recommendations after you guys approve. I don't think it's a requirement that they do it before. You guys will vote, and then they get sent to emergency services in the post office. So I don't think they really.
Normally, we have their recommendation before we vote to approve. Is Ken on? That's procedurally how we've done it in the past.
Yes, I am on.
Yes, so my question to Josh was EMS, fire department, and post office approval. Normally, we get those in advance.
That's correct. Normally, we get those in advance. We distribute the names and get the responses in. For some reason, we don't have those responses from the fire department or the police department.
Okay, so Ms. Nichols didn't have a problem. I guess we really can't take action on this without those two items. Is that correct?
I think that's best course of events here.
Question, do we need the PD?
Post office.
Post office and EMS
Fire
and fire
department.
department.
And police,
I
yeah.
don't know if the
Okay.
police department was listed as a required.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have the subdivision rules and regs in front
Well,
of me.
the list that comes to my mind is EMS, fire, police, and post office.
Okay.
So police is part of it.
I don't know that that's true. We need to check
In
that.
either case, we don't have the post office and
Correct.
we don't have fire department.
Correct.
Right.
So I don't believe we can act on this. So I'll be looking for a motion to continue. Request, Josh, could you just investigate if we also need the police department?
Yep.
So I'm looking for a motion that we continue this item till the July, today is what, the 8th, 14, 22,
22.
to the July 22nd meeting?
I make a motion, we continue the street naming acceptance to July 22nd.
That was a motion by Sam Corbett,
Second.
by Jane
Jane
Gleason. All in favor?
Aye.
By,
Sam Corbett, so it's going to take you time to
well,
get used to that.
Patty needs to write all this down.
I know, I'm sorry.
Julie Moran, aye.
Jane Gleason, aye.
And the chair votes aye. So the motion to continue carries 4-0-0. For the record, I would like to show that Mr. Baptiste has arrived and will be joining the meeting at 6:17. And Mike, while you were out, we elected your chair, so I'll...
No, you didn't.
And vice chair.
Wrong.
And secretary.
Wrong.
Clerk, excuse me.
Mike, I almost made the motion for clerk.
Thank you, welcome. All right. Next item on the agenda is a discussion of the status of Bay Point Phase 1. Mr. Buckland, I think you could speak to this item on the agenda?
Yes, I can. We received this is phase 1. This is the first phase of the Waypoint project of 25 units on Baypoint Drive. We received a schedule of values from our consultant who had worked it out with the project manager at Baypoint, the developer. It came out to about 21,500 or thereabouts.
Yes.
That was the remaining items in the phase 1 subdivision that had to be completed. That had yet to be completed. The owner of the subdivision, the developer, has sent me an email saying that he had completed everything in phase 1, and but we don't have an as-built to review the completed work, and indications are that a number of the items still have to be done. And that's based on emails from property owners, people that bought into this phase 1 subdivision.
Okay, so the items on the schedule of values that we got from Mr. Cordero were the placement of 14 boundary markers and the as-built plan. As I understand it, the applicant contends that he sent Mr. Mr. Cordero the as-built plan. I don't see Mr. Cordero. We have not gotten confirmation from Mr. Cordero. I did see an email from you requesting Mr. Fay to send you a copy of those plans. Did you get them?
No, I did not. So I would recommend that the planning board vote to require the bond of 21,500 and to at least vote on that so that there's something in place. And if it turns out that the work has been done and the inspection is made, then you could release that money.
Okay, I'll look for a motion on that in a moment. And I will like a couple of conditions on that as well. Just there's some other open items, and it's unclear whether they're part of Phase 1 or a subsequent phase. Mr. Cordero notes that the inspections on the work for the entrance of Bay Point Drive were not properly inspected. He did look at, there were some inspections done, but they were never called back for the actual pavement review. So I think we need core samples so that we can confirm that the entrance was properly constructed. And addition, which is again not part of Phase 1, but the inspections on the clubhouse parking lot are not being properly performed, so, or being requested and performed. Now, this isn't really zoning enforcement because it's still under our purview. So we need to probably make sure that the select board understands the open violations, or not violations, but open issues with respect to the clubhouse parking lot, with respect to the entrance to Bay Point Drive, and the open items with respect to Phase 1. Mr. Buckland, you made comments about citizens' complaints, which I think the board has seen. I think the complaints are a mix of enforcement issues, questions about the scope of the golf course, which are probably beyond the purview of the planning board, but I do believe that the zoning enforcement officer has reviewed the golf course and concluded that it is meets the requirement, whatever the requirements. So we'll keep that. We'll continue to use the citizens' complaints to inform us of our understanding of the project, and that's my input. I will make a couple of conditions when we go for the vote on the bond. Any comments or discussion? Mr. Baptiste, you're chomping at the bit, or no?
Should have shut him down a long time ago. Mr. Fay's going to keep on doing this till he's finally done doing what he's doing. I mean, he's record from, what's he been running here, 5 years, 6 years? Same thing. He does exactly what he wants to do.
How are the selectmen going to be notified?
The select board representative is here this evening. By a nod of your head, would you acknowledge that you could carry our message, or do you want a letter?
I think a letter would be for business.
Okay. I'll work with the clerk to get a letter to the select board. Probably won't be there for your meeting tomorrow night, although this isn't on the agenda for tomorrow night. So we'll just summarize what we've done and where we're at, and the issues.
I agree with Michael. This will probably never be done properly. I'm never going to vote to release. I think I've only had 4 years dealing with it. Michael's had 6 or 7 or 8. I'm tired of dealing with the developer. I'm done with him.
Thank you. Ms. Moran, any questions or comments?
No. Certainly a lot of years, and I'm looking at this number, and seems quite low, given what I've heard. But,
This is just for what's left.
yes, right,
Okay.
even so.
So, for discussion, Mr. Cordero reformatted the way he wrote the schedule of values, and I thank him for that. One of the items, which, as you remember, in previous discussions I had with Mr. Fay, was release of the contingency funds. So for this bond and for the motion, I would like the condition to be that contingency funds are not released on a line item basis, but as a whole, when we're satisfied that the work is done. That's for the contingency line. And a reminder that the subdivision rules and regulations, which falls under, and if Josh, you could help me look it up when we write the conditions, there's a 1/3 holdback for all work until everything is satisfied complete. So we will not release the contingency funds or the 1/3 holdback, even if it comes for line item release, until we're satisfied that the work is done. So I would look for a
I like that a lot.
I would like a motion to reestablish a bond for the remaining work of Phase 1, which would include placement of 14 boundary markers at $500,000 per boundary marker, $10,000 for the required as-built plan, which has not been provided, and a 25% contingency fund on the total, bringing it to $21,250.
Sam Corbett, so moved.
Second.
Please state your name so Patty can get it.
Mike Baptiste, second.
Thank you. It helps Patty take the minutes. All in favor?
With those conditions, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Jane Gleason, aye.
And the chair votes aye. So Josh, if you need help with the conditions, let me know.
That's good.
And then we need to notice the developer that we have required a new bond. And at this point, the bond is there until we get an inspection that says the bond is required. And he can't say it's all done. Now the bond is required. He'll put up the bond, then we'll process the release. This is not a public hearing. I know you guys are here. Hopefully you heard some of what you're interested in hearing. Okay, I'm going to move on.
If the public has continuing issues with this project, let us know.
Oh, we do get at least one citizen regularly sends us
Right.
letters.
We've got some correspondence from new people.
Okay, I didn't see any new correspondence, but perhaps I missed it. Please,
Just let us know.
yeah, copy the planning office, and I'm going to remind the citizens, the planning board is not an enforcement body. We set conditions, we describe the work that needs to be done. Enforcement is handled by the zoning enforcement officer, Mr. Turner, and ultimately, Mr. Sullivan. So requests for enforcement, notices of violation requests should go through Mr. Turner. Planning office should get a copy. That will keep us notified. And as I said, all of those complaints inform our thinking and understanding of the project. In addition, I think there's been requests for documents. I know that you may have sent those to the planning office, and to the degree that they can help with that, you can get, but there is a formal method for requesting documents. You go to the clerk. There's a form. I don't know the name of the form. It's basically a Freedom of Information request that you can request any documents you want that the town has. There may be a charge for copies, that I don't know. But if you're not getting what you need, just the planning office is managing lots of things and juggling lots of balls, and so, but you can get it on record. And the other thing I can tell you is if you file a complaint with Mr. Turner, it gets recorded, whether the finding is in your favor or not, it's still recorded. So, thank you. Thank you for your continued interest. Thank you for coming.
Will there be a list of everything that's unfinished, so we can make sure it's what we think is unfinished?
Right now, the two items that are unfinished are the placement of the boundary markers and the as-built plan. Earlier, you asked a question, I'm answering. Earlier, we added many of your items from an earlier email to Mr. Cordero's inspection list. I believe he did inspect on those items and issue a report some months back. So that should be available on the town website. I'll look for that. But the only two items for phase one are the boundary markers and the as-built plan. Now, some of the issues that you raise, we can't verify until we get the as-built plan. So there may be things that come from the as-built plan that speak to your issues, like the water egress or ingress things. Things related to your heating, out of scope for us. No, I'm just,
This crosswalk issue, there's a bunch of stuff that's been enumerated.
that was all included in Mr. Cordero's report, and the finding was that it met the requirements. Josh, if you could help me find Mr. Cordero's he did, we listed all of the items in your letter. He commented whether it was appropriate for a planning board issue or not. Some of the items were just not in scope for the subdivision and site plan special permit. He noted that. He also noted other items where they had been completed.
They'll all be considered, right? Before it's deemed finished.
They were all considered and either deemed out of scope or finished, except for the boundary markers and the as-built plan.
And we are trying to help. As best we can. What was that? So we are trying to help you. We've heard you, we've worked on it, and we are still working on it.
You just get a little piece at a time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Souza, if I get you a copy of Phil's report with these items, you can distribute it?
Sure.
Okay. But you can go look on the website. I'm sure it's up there, but it may be hard to find.
Thank you very much for everything.
You know what? We may not have posted all of Phil's inspection reports.
You should.
Well, yeah. I'll speak to that in
Okay.
another place. All right, so that's it. So Josh, we just need to write and get a bond in place and require a bond.
Yep.
And then we'll help the citizens with finding Phil's report where he issued that. And then Julie will write a letter to the select board just summarizing where we're at with this issue. Mr. Fay, you're not there, are you?
We don't want to hear from him.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Buckland. The next item on the agenda is a discussion of planning board rules and regulations and procedures. Mr. Buckland, you added this item to the agenda. If you'd like to speak to it, we'll discuss it.
Certainly. There's been a lot of discussion about procedures lately and better format for looking at the construction of projects and the processing of permits. one case in point is the comprehensive permit. It requires a modification of the rules and regulations, but I think that might be something that the Board of Appeals takes up rather than the planning board. But I think that the planning board could do some more work on the rules and regulations. And I put that item on the agenda so that you could talk about a work plan to get those done.
Okay, great. As you know, we have been continually working on improving the rules and regulations, both the land use rules and regulations, the subdivision rules and regulations, and the design criteria for the redevelopment district. So,
Does he have a recommendation? I mean, we're working on them.
well, the subcommittee that has been working has a whole list of continued improvements that
Correct.
we'll make. But Ken, other than the comprehensive permit, are there any specifics you want us to look at? I know that you and I, at the last hearing on a subdivision, no, excuse me, the last hearing on an A&R, noticed perhaps a disconnect between what you thought the law read and what I said the rules and regs say. So that's an item we'll resolve. Is there any other specifics you want to add?
No, I think that the procedures regarding inspections and reports are could still use some help.
Okay, we attempted to do that last time, but we can improve it. Right now, the approach that I'm taking is if they're not in the rules and regulations, I'm trying to read them into the conditions of approval, but so...
Correct.
I would like to, the planning board had a subcommittee working on rules and regulations, which was made up of Ms. Quirk and I. I would like to recommend that Ms. Moran take over the lead of that effort. She worked, she... Thank you, Siri. Take over the lead of that, and I will continue to work with her. She did help us a lot. Is there anyone else who would like to work? Jane, I know you weighed in. Would you like to be more officially? Only two of us can get together.
Can get together at a time.
Right, so
Yeah.
if you would like to work on that.
I would be happy to work on it.
All right, so I move that the chair moves that we appoint Julie and Jane.
You can just do it.
Yeah, okay.
You didn't
All
need a
right.
motion. You just do it.
All right, well, okay, so it's on the record. And just, I have all my notes from the previous work, and
Yep,
as does Julie.
exactly.
So Ken, we will charge Julie and Jane to run off into the wilderness and make improvements.
I think that sounds admirable.
Only if there's an airline flight involved,
Yeah.
someplace good.
Yeah. How did I end up with all these jobs? But I'm happy to do it.
See?
I'm happy to do
You
it.
know, the new guy gets all the stuff, all the good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, Ken, that you want to bring up on that?
Not at this time. I think you got two people that are obviously well qualified to do this work, so
Okay.
let's go at it.
All right, on this item, Josh and I and others in the planning office have been working to move the application process from the current manual process and posting on the website to Viewpoint. At our first meeting, either the last meeting in May, I think it was the last meeting in May, we voted to support, the board voted 5-0 to support that. Josh has been working on that. I believe you're going to give us an update at the July 22nd meeting with the objective of having an August 1st go-live date.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. We'll post it on the town website so applicants are aware of the process. And I'll put together a how-to just to guide them through.
Right.
So it's pretty clear.
For citizens who want to look at how it might work, the Conservation Commission is already using this process. If you go to the Conservation Commission website, It redirects you, it gives you good instructions. This will be the same process, but the good news is all plans, all citizens' comments, rather than going to the website, will be posted in Viewpoint. Viewpoint is the system, but it will be tied to the map and lot, so you can look at the property, you'll see more than just the planning board items. Any violation, any complaint will all be visible by property. So you could see everything that's happened at that property forever.
If it's been uploaded.
If it's been uploaded, yeah. Well,
There are historic permits and documents, but I wouldn't say everything is there.
okay, not everything, but you'll have a perspective of everything that's going on at a property.
And Carl, is this going forward? Is there an attempt to,
We have not addressed the back file scanning issue.
Okay.
Going forward is our first objective.
Right,
just so everyone's aware?
yeah.
Yeah, so we're not taking down the website. Everything that's on the website will be there. We're not planning to we just don't have the staff to wholesale move all that.
You know, it may happen that as you guys receive requests for modifications, that would be a good opportunity to upload that stuff. And probably as things maybe get closed out, maybe it would be a good time to upload that as well.
But we could put out the closeouts and things like that. So Mr. Faherty will give us a report at the 22nd. But it should improve our ability to communicate with the citizens and the applicants. And it will be a standard process for the applicants going forward. And I believe you're going to adopt this for the ZBA as well, is that correct?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. So then all town boards will be using the same process. We have a new public hearing. Notice of public hearing. The Wareham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on July 8th, 2024, at 6 p.m. in room 520 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, 02571, to consider petition 824 for a repetitive petition determination under the requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 16, to Angela McEwen, trustee of 388 Main Street Realty, trust care of Attorney Jillian Morton of 184 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts, proposing that there is a specific and material change to the application that applies to the petition for the property at 386 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts, Assessors Map 61, Lot 1079, in the Wareham, in the WV2 zoning district. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Sam Corbett, so moved.
Mike Baptiste, second.
In favor?
Aye.
Jane
Aye.
Gleason, aye.
And the chair votes aye. Ms. Morton, welcome.
Attorney Jillian Morton, M-O-R-T-O-N, 184 Main Street.
Okay, before you begin, just a request. This is a very different request for the board. So as part of your explanation, before you maybe describe the project and the property, if you could discuss how it got to us and the law under which we're ruling and what we need to find.
Absolutely. So I hope everyone had a chance to take a look at the email that I had forwarded. I don't know if Sonia had forwarded that to everyone. To start kind of at the beginning, my client bought 386, 388 Main Street, the big white house right on Main Street that you drive by probably tons of times. And they looked to put, it was initially 5 duplexes on it. The planning board actually gave some comments on it. And it went through the hearing process, site plan review, actually 3 reviews. And at the hearing where the vote happened, there were 3 members of the zoning board who said yes, and 2 abstained. At that point, we obviously didn't have a favorable decision, so it didn't have full majority that we needed. So we decided then to work and see, what was the issue. Let me say, there's a statute that allows us to do a repetitive petition, a reconsideration. And I know this is all new, so we went in front of, we actually filed a reconsideration with the zoning board.
And that's,
Oh, sorry,
doesn't,
you're scaring me.
I'm sorry. That gets around the 2-year requirement for a denial, right? That's one of the reasons you do a
So,
red.
yep, you need supermajority, so it was a 3-0, 2 abstained.
Right.
So then we decided that, once we get into the meat of it, we'll chat with it, but we decided to do a reconsideration, and that was sent, I believe, in December 2023. We went through some hearings, and the opposition made an argument that the board cannot reconsider it, and the chairman of the board discussed with town council that he believed that the planning board also had the authority. And then I was kind of waiting to have the confirmation from Attorney Bowen, and that is the email that you have in front of you where I'm asking for written confirmation of, what do we do next?
Did everybody see Attorney Bowen?
Yeah.
I can circulate it.
So I asked him, under the statute, if we go through planning board, we want to make sure this is all properly done. And he said, Jillian, pursuant to 40-16, all but one of the planning board must consent to the repetitive petition. Only then may ZBA evaluate the reapplication and find the specific and material changes have occurred in the conditions upon which the unfavorable decision was based. And then it has a case law, Ramsey versus Board of Appeals of Nantucket. So it was pretty clear that this was the pathway to go.
So you're looking for a supermajority vote of the board, and what are we actually ruling on?
Yes, so this is something that I want to, start with, is that you're not, in my opinion, it's not the meat of the case. It's not, is this actually a variance? You're looking at, was there a specific, and if you have the statute in front of you, it's on my application, and that's what we're going on, the law, right? So MGL Chapter 48, Section 16 says that specific and material changes in the conditions upon which the previous unfavorable action was based, and describes such changes of the record in the proceedings. And that's where it says, unless all but one of the members of the planning board.
Okay.
So it's my opinion that you are looking at, the decision and asking yourself, is there a specific and material change upon what the decision, which was unfavorable, in my opinion, the 2 abstaining votes, that we have something different to bring to the table, and then the zoning board would be able to look at the merits of that claim. So, as far as going into the opposition's argument that we haven't demonstrated a variance, in my opinion, that's above the scope of your authority
So what
under the statute.
we're being asked to rule on is, has there been a change in the conditions that led to the denial?
Correct, and it's specific, I'm going right from the statute, it's specific and material change. It's not substantial. It is not, it doesn't matter how big the change is. So what I'm going to argue in front of you is that there is a change in the petition. And what I did was, is go through the minutes of the Zoning Board of Appeals, which had a lot of information on why they abstained, those 2 individuals. As well as watch, all the hearings. And it actually has in the minutes, which I pulled the little, on page 2 of my petition, if you can see there, it says Veronica, this is the vote. Veronica Debonese, yes. Jim Ekabachi, yes. Richard Semple, abstain. And Mr. Ekalazzi, abstain, due to the gray area, or the gray easement. So both Mr. Semple and Mr. Ekalazzi stated for the record that their abstaining was due to the gray area of the easement, not of the variance or the project. The variance failed due to a simple majority. So that's very clear in the public record that that's why they voted how they voted. Does that all make sense? I know it's a lot.
Okay.
So,
you're going to present to us why you think the conditions have changed that led to those two abstaining votes?
correct.
And the specific, and pursuant to the statute, the specific and material changes.
Correct. That's
Both.
exactly the language with the statute. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, before you get into detail,
Sure.
I want to make sure everyone on the board understands what we're being asked to review. We're not looking at the project, we're not, because we looked at the project and we had conditions about
Yeah.
the grades as well. But we're not looking at the variance, we're not looking at the project design. We're examining the decision and how it was made and what you as the applicant believe has changed since that decision was made.
Yes.
That's a simple, I want to make sure we understand what we're doing, because I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, even for me as an attorney, I would have thought that the statute would be interpreted that the special granting authority who looked through all the site plan review, I mean, this was, went through 3 reviews, that it would be the zoning board, which is why I went to the zoning board. So my applicant, you know, did the first, we went through all the review, then paid for reconsideration, all of that publication, and now we've gone through and done this. So, and Attorney Bowen says this is the pathway. So,
Okay.
you know, our town council agrees, so that's what we're doing.
Before you get into the details of your reasoning, do you have any other introductory?
Introductory?
Or educational?
No, I just think I wanted to make sure you had that from Attorney Bowen. Again, I had heard it from the zoning board chairman, but I was waiting for his authority, and that's, you know, the pathway that my client and I chose to follow Attorney Bowen, so.
So before I ask you to get into the detail, I would ask either Mr. Buckland and/or Mr. Faherty if they have any input on the decision process or what we're being asked to do.
No, nothing from me. Ken Buckland.
Thank you.
I have no comment.
Okay, so you think, Ken, you think I summarized our task correctly?
Yes, I think you have. I think what you need to do is listen to Attorney Morton's reasoning as to the change at this time.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay.
We're ready. Any questions before we start? Everybody?
Not at this time.
Okay, great. So with all that, you know, the understanding of, we presented this project, there was a 3-2 vote, you heard that. And specifically in the minutes, it's talking about the gray area of the easement. Now, I'm not sure if you have plans in front of you. I also have them here. Just so you can take a look at what I'm talking about with this easement, I'm gonna flip to just the first sheet. You know.
I think we only have one set of plans.
I
We
have
did get
one. I have-
we got electronic copies, but,
Yeah.
oh, you brought paper?
Thank you.
This is the full civil set. I also have architecturals if you want to take a look at those.
Only if it's relevant to
Yeah,
your
okay.
argument. Okay. For the record, Attorney Morton is handing out a proposed site plan at 386 Main Street, Wareham, Massachusetts, dated March 21, 2023, revision 6, November 2nd, 2023. It's a 10-sheet document.
Okay. So we can start looking on that second sheet, just so you can acclimate, you know, yourself to the project and see when I'm saying T-shaped parcel, what that is. The T-shaped parcel is an interesting a title issue. So this was the original Bumpus Homestead, and they created this T-shaped parcel. There's an easement of record. And what has the ownership of it actually is a third. And we did a lot of title research in the actual So we have a full title on it and to show the ownership. So you can see map 61, 1080 and map 60, 1082. They both have a 1/3 interest, so that's 171 and 181. The third interest was actually missed within the back title for when it went through a foreclosure. So when my client bought it, the third little interest was not included.
What's a back title?
So it's a title search, and it's when they purchased it from the bank. The description did not include this piece, this 1/3.
Okay.
So it actually was owned by the Loves. And
So the mortgage covered that you foreclosed didn't include this?
yeah, it was an error. So, their deed technically did not include the 1/3.
And it wasn't discovered until after they owned the property?
Yeah, so this all came out during the zoning board process.
Okay.
So just a quick question. Are the Loves the owners of either 1080 or 1082?
No. Nope, the Loves used to own 386.
You used to own 1079?
Yep,
not- yeah,
Yep,
Okay.
the
all right.
1079.
So
yeah.
there's a fourth owner in here.
Of that parcel, yeah. We own the 1079, but then this T-shaped, the 1208 is owned by 171, 181, and now the Loves.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what kind of came out during zoning.
But I may be jumping ahead, but
Yeah.
I also understand that you bought the tax title, that this went into tax foreclosure?
Yes, so I can make, I just have one of it, just so you can see the evidence that my client paid the back. It actually was going into tax title.
You guys remember, we've looked
was
at this
going-
and the whole discussion about this
So
back
have you
end.
filed, sorry, the real estate attorney in me. Have you filed an action to foreclose the right of redemption? Where are you with the land court?
No, so we have not done that. It's tricky because there's also two other owners of,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's because it's a third, a third, a third. And we
Right.
don't have that ownership yet.
So you're coming before us really identifying the problem, but really haven't solved it.
Well, so if real estate attorney world, you can imagine this back title. It's two different individuals. One of them actually died in Maine, so we're dealing with an ancillary probate. The other died, I believe it was something like more than 50 years ago, so that's a little bit easier. We can do the affidavit and things
Okay.
like that. So we are under purchase and sale, and I know that the opposition has said, we haven't provided that, but that's a private, maybe we could redact it as far as pricing and stuff like that.
So just forgive me here. So you're going forward with the tax foreclosure, or you were trying to identify who the heirs were to name them in the foreclosure? Or,
We have a purchase, and we're going the route of purchasing it from the actual heirs. We have
Okay.
them.
okay.
Yep.
So you're sitting there with the tax title, but at this point, you're not going to file an action to foreclose the redemption?
Yeah,
You're gonna-
not at this time.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all right, so.
So you feel confident that you have all the heirs, that you have a purchase and sale agreement, and what's the closing date, if I might ask?
That's upon the actual, ancillary getting opened and all that. So half of it's done, the other half dealing with
Okay.
Maine is,
Probably a year and a half at least, if not
I'm hoping
two?
less than that. I mean, we engaged, after we got the abstained, we were denied, we were able to go to them and, offer them price and stuff, so.
I know we're getting into.
The meat.
Sorry, the
Yep.
nitty-gritty.
I do have one, now that we've sort of opened the door. When this project came before the planning board, this section, it's all at risk. It looks like it's now going to be used as an egress. When it was presented to the planning board,
Yep.
that was not part of the plan.
Right? Yeah, I read through your initial review, and that was really a concern of the fire department as well.
And our comments on the project at
Yeah.
that time were contingent on that design. So I don't know what that means for what we reviewed.
Yeah, we went through we went through several iterations. You can look at all the peer review through the ZBA. The grading, it just was not working for the fire truck.
But
Yeah,
we didn't want that egress.
the egress from the High Street or from Main Street?
out the back to High Street.
Okay.
We had other problems with Main Street,
Yep.
which was the grade of the...
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
As well as parking and open space.
yeah.
I
All
mean, there
right.
are other things.
All those things are not what we're looking at, but I'm just...
Yeah, they're the meat of the
I'm
substance.
refreshing my memory of what we discussed. Okay, so
Right.
it's changed substantially since we reviewed this.
Thank you.
Since we reviewed this. Okay,
Yep.
but we're still, okay, so you presented all this, you're dealing with the title issues, and you went,
So our argument is that the two abstaining votes, they were specific, it says it in the record, that it's not the variance, it was the easement and concerned of the ownership, honestly. So, you know, the specific and material change is that we're going to be having that 1/3 interest, and that we paid the tax title. There's multiple ways we can go, as Ms. Moran said. So,
well, you don't have it yet, so it hasn't changed yet.
Correct.
well, I disagree. I think that we've paid the tax title, we've made substantial
Oh, you paid, oh,
movement.
you made the, but,
Right here.
Okay.
okay.
Carl.
If you were forced to go, let's say this agreement doesn't go forward, you have the foreclosure of the right of redemption, get
to
a
read this
judgment,
into the
and
record.
then the owner, heirs, would have the right to redeem, in which case you're kind of back at square one. So I guess I would argue this, is there, at this point appearing before us, has there been a specific and material change? I question whether that, in fact, has happened.
All right, well, let's keep
So-
going. But
Yeah,
just-
and the other piece of that is not just specific and material, it's on, if you read the rest of the statute, on which the unfavorable action was based.
Okay.
So they were there, they were both there, and then, you know, almost agreeing, but then because of this question of who owns the easement, we know who owns the easement, we're under purchase and sale with them.
One, just before we...
Yes, sure.
Just for the record, Patty, Attorney Morton has provided us a photocopy document dated Monday, November 20th, 2023, titled Parcel Balance Circulated through 11...
Calculated.
Okay, I'm sorry, calculated through 11/20/23, with the stamp from the treasurer of paid and a copy of the check.
I would like to redact the account numbers, though, before you post that, if that's becoming part of the record.
Okay, so we're still looking for you to substantiate the change. So we have one of the changes you're arguing is that you know who the owners of the parcel are.
Yep.
And that was one of the reasons for the abstentions.
Correct.
Okay, there was another reason, right? Which was the grade?
Well, that actually was changed during the process, so I'm not sure how you would, you know, that's the initial, we went in going from High Street, then we went from Main Street, and then we went back, so I'm,
So what were, again, the reasons that they gave for their abstentions? From the record, you read into the record why they abstained?
oh, so that's in the packet that I created. It says, both Mr. Semple and Ms. Ecolazzi stated, for the record, that their abstaining was due to the gray area of easement.
Oh, gray,
Right,
not
G-R-A-Y.
grade.
Oh, you thought you said grade?
Grade.
Yeah, and not of the variance or the project. The variance failed due to a simple majority.
Okay, so there was only one reason,
easement.
which was the title and ownership of the easement.
Yep.
So that's the issue before us. Has that condition changed? And you're arguing because, I'm trying to summarize back to you, you're arguing that because you know who the owners are, you've resolved all that, and you have
PNS.
a PNS.
Yep. Which, I mean, as far as evidence of that, you know, it's not something that could be public record right now. So I'm not sure how you would want that certified in front of your board.
Well,
We could redact things if you want.
state it as an attorney
Yeah.
that it exists, that is
Yep.
legally binding, correct? I mean, if you say it in front of a judiciary body as an attorney,
Yeah, I'm fine to certify that.
that's the right way to...
Yes, I just, again, and I agree, in Massachusetts, we have specific performance of an agreement to buy, but until it's done,
Okay, well, that's the,
because I look at the initial challenge on the easement was, do you have control? Do you have any title interest in the easement such that you could use it today? I think that's pending. I'm sure the simpler way to do it would absolutely to have a purchase and sale agreement as you have, and to move forward with the closing to give you full control. But today, I don't feel that we are there, that there is, you aren't here telling us, we closed, we have control of the easement.
okay.
So
I have a
That's-
Before we
quick
get into
question.
deliberation, we
Yeah.
also
Okay.
have to hear from-
that's
Okay.
my,
But go ahead, you can.
I do have a quick question, and that is, can we ask, I don't, maybe I'm totally out of what I should be asking, but is there a closing date set?
No.
And what is stopping the closing date?
One of the individuals passed away in Maine, so it's an ancillary probates
Ancillary.
when you pass away.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did say that. So,
Yep.
but, okay, so again, understanding, once the purchase and sale is signed and you have a closing, that material change will have been perfected. Can't you
Yeah,
just
I mean, we
wait-
have earnest deposits, there's,
Can't
like you said.
you wait till that and then come back and make this exact same application?
You don't have it now.
Oh, that, my question
In your
is-
opinion, you know?
Well, no,
Yeah.
we have to make an opinion, but
Yep.
we haven't yet. But,
and an ancillary does take some time, as you know.
Yeah.
but what would be, in terms of an approach for you and your client, waiting until you have that and you've actually perfected that issue?
Yeah, I'd obviously have to talk to them about that.
No, but
Yeah.
that is something that you could do if.
If that's the opinion of the board that it's
well,
not
we haven't-
perfected.
We haven't made an
Yeah.
opinion yet. We've discussed, we've deliberated. You have anything else you'd like to present?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so
There'll
as
probably
this
be
is-
responses after the opposition speaks.
As this is a public hearing, I will invite parties of interest to come forward and speak. I will remind you, the only thing we're going to take testimony on is changes in condition for the application. We're ruling on, has there been a material, not
Specific and material
specific
change.
and material change, and the attorney is arguing that they have resolved the issue. So the only thing we want to hear testimony on is to that point. When you come forward, please state your name, your address, spell your name for the record so we can get it, and we'll hear and we'll limit you to 2 minutes.
My name is Ray Robinson.
Wait, please sit and speak into the microphone.
My name is Ray Robinson. I own part of this
Can you
private
spell your name?
Robinson.
And your address is?
171 High Street.
Thank you.
I own a portion of this private road,
Okay,
which is only 20 feet wide.
correct.
And as far as I know, nobody's made an application to buy my rights to the road, and I'm certainly not selling them.
Okay, so,
Can I ask you as a favor? I'm not deaf. I would ask you people to speak up just a little bit more, please.
we will, sure.
of course.
Part of it is the speakers in the room, and
The acoustics in this room are bad, I understand that.
we will do our best. And if you raise your hand and you can't hear, wave your hand and we'll.
Got it.
The further difficulty is that and
Yeah,
that,
we
the air
understand. We will
conditioners.
do everything we can to make sure
Appreciate it.
you can hear.
Thank you.
Like turning them off. I mean, just for a short time.
We could.
Yeah.
Mike, you want to turn the air off? It's not that hot in here. It will get hot quickly, but,
For the moment, it's not.
okay.
I'm happy to clarify if the gentleman's done.
Do we want to have her rebut individually or at the end?
I don't,
I can do,
personally.
yeah, I can do it at the end.
Okay, we'll hear your,
Honestly, as a point of order, back and forth,
we don't, that's why I said we don't want to do back and forth.
exactly.
So we'll hear your summary comments at the end. So the gentleman to the right on the,
We check and see if our attorney is online.
What's the name of the attorney? Ignacio Silverstone.
Can I ask you one other issue?
come forward if you, state your name and your address and ask away. Spell your name also so Patty can get it.
It's Bob Reed, R-E-E-D.
And your address?
The address we're speaking on, I'm a trustee for 181 High Street.
Okay.
Did you receive a letter in your packet from Jonathan Silverstein for this meeting?
We did get a.
We did.
We received it from Sonia.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you've had time to review it or not.
We have. I have, somehow.
It came in late. I looked at it, but
Okay. There seems to be, and I know you only want to talk about the right-of-way. On our deeds, it's called the right-of-way. We have not questioned any of their development on their property. They can build anything they want. What we're questioning is the overburden of that right-of-way for traffic.
and that's not what we're ruling on. We're trying to determine, that's the zoning board, and they have to make the finding on that. All we're trying to find is, can the applicant reapply because there's been a change in circumstance?
Okay. And didn't you say that you approved their drawings?
No, if I said approved, I misspoke. They came before us, we made comments, which I believe we sent to the zoning board.
Okay. But the original set of drawings was with an entrance on Main Street, is that correct?
Yes.
Because you didn't like the coming back on the right-of-way?
That was what was presented to us back in
Okay.
November or last year.
Okay.
But all of that is really the zoning board's purview.
All right.
And it
Okay.
really only came back, as Attorney Morton explained, is because of in Mass General Law, it said we have to rule on whether there's been a change.
That's correct. All right.
So we don't want to re-adjudicate all of the stuff the zoning board has done.
That's fine. That parcel that we're talking about, that they are trying to purchase, doesn't that have to go to probate court? Does it?
Again, the process for purchase is beyond our purview. We're trying to determine,
That's fine.
has the applicant built a case that circumstances have changed?
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
But yes, anything that's going to delay the time would
Yeah.
obviously be a concern for them.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
I guess you're coming forward.
Good evening. My name is David Field.
Sit first and speak into the microphone.
David Field, F-I-E-L-D. My address is 12 Whittemore Ave, Onset, Mass. I'm just going to speak briefly on this.
And how are you a party to this?
I'm in a relationship with Angela McEwen for 6 years.
Oh, you're here on behalf of the applicant?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. It's important to understand where everybody's coming from.
And a lot of this is my fault, so I just want to tell you what happened. I purchased a property in Onset. Angela used to come down and visit me. She loved it, found a place. She looked online. She found out that 386, 388 Main Street 3 years ago was in foreclosure. We went to the auction. There was 10 bidders. She purchased the property for $370,000. When we went in the property, there were 6 units in there, 3 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor, 1 on the top floor. When we went in there, we found out the property was built 285 years ago, 1739. The back 171 High Street.
I appreciate the backstory. I remember all this. How are you speaking to the material change?
That's what I was going to get to.
Okay.
171 High Street was owned in 1952 by Mr. Love, who also owned 386, 388 Main Street. In 1952, Toby Hospital granted an easement, 20-foot easement, to 171 High Street, 181 High Street, owned by the Reeds, and 386, 388 Main Street. And it said right into it, that easement was for the subdivision, it wasn't deed restricted. When Angela purchased the property, we did not, there was a deed attached to it that said the Love, but we didn't know. I hired J.C. Engineering. I said, whatever the planning board, whatever the building department wants, let's see what we want. J.C. Engineering, Mr. Turner wrote a letter saying, based on 1 acre of the bylaws, we can put 14 units on there. I said, he designed it for 5 duplexes. We were going to, the original building, the assessor's office said 4. We said we will keep it at that. I hired an architect, I hired an engineer, I hired a construction team, and they went in there, and I hired a local attorney because my attorney said hire a local attorney. I said, whatever the town wants, do it. We did the plans. I spent $60,000 with JC Engineering. I spoke with the neighbors. I said, whatever you need.
How are you getting to,
So what we're going to get for us, when we went before the board, we had 5 duplexes on there. The ZBA said, we're in favor of this, but can you bring it down to 3 duplexes? I said, okay, let's do 3 duplexes, because by right, if Mr. Turner said we can connect all the buildings together, and we could have 14 units. And we don't need a variance, we just need a special permit by right, based on that 1 acre lot. So I said, okay. When we got denied, the reason why we got denied, we got 3 in favor, no 0 votes, but 2 people said, we're in favor of this project. It's going to look good for the downtown Main Street. You did a beautiful job in that building that was built 285 years ago. We have an area with the easement. So I went over to the town hall and they said, the Reeds of the Robinson has not paid taxes since 1999. This is going to go to land court tax title. It's $6,000 owed. I sat down with the attorney. We paid $6,000. And I said, we made an offer, and we've been working on that, and we want to do whatever the town of Wareham wants. I mean, this is a wonderful town, a wonderful downtown.
thank you. Okay,
But
so...
thank you for your time.
No, thank you for the backstory. I do remember you came before us.
And one thing I want to add, even though I'm not with it, if we could have went through the front on Main Street, when I had the J.C. Engineering put the bounds in, that retaining wall is on town of Wareham's land, and they were worried about fire trucks going up it and also someone getting hit on the sidewalk. And
That's all part of the design.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, the young lady in the brown.
Our attorney isn't on. You are in possession, I'm sorry, Patricia Nelson.
Spell your name, please.
Nelson.
And your address?
I'm from the Trust of 181 High Street.
Okay, thank you.
You are in possession of the letter that I know the attorney sent it last week, so it should have been the end of last week that you should have received.
We have the letter.
Okay. The reasoning, that the abstentions, it was because of the easement, because we have no problem with the buildings. It is the easement and the overburdening of the right-of-way, and that was our...
It was not stated as a reasoning.
They, at that time,
In the record, it said clarity of title.
in the record, it said, I believe it says...
Can you present the record? That's, the attorney presented the record.
She didn't say that. She said that it was this gray area of the...
Around title.
Around the easement is how she...
Gray area of the easement, not the variance or the project.
Okay. So
Gray area around the easement.
Easement, thank you for getting that. I thought it was just title is the way you would
So
present it.
it's not just the title, it's the title and the overburdening of the right-of-way. Because as soon as we brought up the issue of overburdening this ancient right-of-way, which was designed as a driveway for 3 parcels of land, the tone of the board changed at that point, and then we talked about the fact that the ownership rights were in dispute. Unfortunately, those tax bills were going to the former owners of the Main Street, which is now the Main Street project. And at that time, my mother, who was older, and the Robinsons didn't realize that the tax bills were going to them and were not being paid, obviously because they went into foreclosure, I understand. So that's the reasoning behind that. But the right-of-way, that gray area, was an overburdening of the right-of-way and the title issues.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, huh?
Want to close it?
Not, yeah, because we can't hear from Attorney Morton if we close it, and if there's more facts. Hang on, I want to take a look at Attorney Silverstein's letter, which I did look at. Do you have a copy of that letter?
I do.
I want to look, I'm
Yep.
just trying to find it in my email.
Yep.
I have a copy of it, too. Do you want it, Mike? Did you see the letter?
Footnote is, he also explains it.
Excuse me?
The footnote, if you look at the footnote, kind of gives the reference to what our attorney is talking about.
There's nothing in there that clarifies the reason for the denial.
No,
They're-
not in the
They're
record.
challenging the right for the reconsideration. There, and the law,
The specific and material change, has that in fact occurred? Right.
right, well, no, that's not what he said. They're even saying they can't reconsider. I believe under the law, they can request us to
Right.
make a
Yeah.
finding. Okay. All right, any questions before I let Attorney Morton comment?
Mr. Chair? The attorney's name was Jonathan Silverstein.
Yes.
He just entered. Would you like me to let him in?
Yes, we can hear from him.
Just got a text that nobody out there can hear us. We're not using the mics well enough, and we're not talking loud enough.
I'm talking as loud as I can. We had problems before with sound quality over Zoom, but, okay, is the attorney there?
Yes.
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Yes, could you introduce yourself, please, and spell your name and your representation?
Of course. My name is Jonathan Silverstein. I'm with the firm of Blattman, Bobrowski, Haverty, and Silverstein.
Can you spell Silverstein, please?
Silver like the color, Stein.
Thank you.
And I'm here on behalf of the abutter to the subject property, the Reed Family Trust.
Thank you. And you didn't hear my earlier instructions for the public hearing, but if you could limit your comments on the law regarding, we're looking for a
Specific
specific and
material
material
change.
change which allows under law for them to file for reconsideration. So I'm looking for you to speak against or for that specific or material change.
Yeah, relative to Chapter 48, Section 16, Attorney Silverstein.
Understood.
Thank you.
So I'll certainly speak to that. I guess one point I want to make is that the specific and material change, that is the requirement in order for the planning board to give its consent. But it's not automatic that if there's been a specific and material change, that the planning board then must give its consent. It's discretionary, which is why I did address other issues in my letter, because it's just as with a special permit or a variance, meeting the minimum criteria doesn't entitle someone to the relief. And here it's a question of whether or not the planning board wants to set a precedent of allowing multiple bites at the apple for something like a use variance, so I just wanted to explain why I did address the criteria for the variance in my letter. If you don't want me to address that at this evening, I won't.
No,
I'll certainly.
You clarified how you're bringing it in. Speak briefly, you can,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want to re-adjudicate the whole.
I understand. So first of all, as to the specific material change, one point I made in my letter is that the statement of the intent to purchase the 1/3 interest of the Love estate in the T-shaped parcel that includes the proposed access road, that is not new. That's something, as I pointed out, the applicant has specifically said on the very day that the ZBA, in writing, on the very day that the ZBA denied the variance. So that's not new. That's not a change. That's the exact same situation. Now, I haven't seen, and I didn't see in the materials that I received from your clerk, any evidence that there's anything that has actually changed from the day that the ZBA voted to deny the variance. So just saying, well, we intend to address that, that's not a change. That's exactly what they had said previously. They claimed that they had, taken some other action in terms of tax title. I haven't seen those documents submitted either. So all I've seen in terms of new documents is the letter from the applicant's counsel to the planning board. If there was actually a petition of any kind submitted to the ZBA, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure the applicant's counsel could clarify. So I don't see anything that has actually transpired that's new, and they're just asking for another chance to go back before the ZBA on a decision that was denied. The denial didn't state any reasons, and reasons for the denial is a term of art. It has legal significance, and it's what's written in the decision. So there's no statement of reasons in the decision that are to which there have been any material changes, but even the issue raised regarding the ownership of that right of access, there also has been no material change documented that I have seen. So that's sort of the threshold issue of whether or not there's been a material and significant change. And again, even if there had been, I would note that this is a really impactful proposal to my clients and to the whole neighborhood. You're basically taking a 10-foot dirt driveway and turning it into a 20-foot wide paved access road to a much larger development. And it's going through a neighborhood that's all single-family homes in this stretch of High Street. And so I do think it's appropriate for the board in exercising its discretion, even if that gateway issue, the threshold issue of substantial and material change had been satisfied. I would hope that the planning board would choose not to exercise its discretion to consent to a repetitive petition where the impacts to my clients are so significant and where there was no meaningful attempt to satisfy the criteria for a variance. There's nothing about the soil shape or topography of the site that relates to the use prohibition that they're seeking a variance from. And I cited in my letter to the case law that says you can't say that there's some topographical feature regarding your site, but not make any attempt to tie it to the relief that you're asking for. And that's what's happened here. There's nothing about the topography of this site that requires a use variance. And they've made no attempt to draw that connection. And that's putting aside the question of, lack of any hardship and the fact that the topography of this site is not unique in any way relative to other properties along the same stretch of Main Street. So that's a summary of my points. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Thank you. I don't see any questions at the moment. If we have some, if you could stay on the line, we'll redirect.
Of course.
One moment. Through you to the, or through me, through Josh, when we heard this in November, did we hear this as a planning board case? Why did we hear this case? I'm looking for the record.
I wasn't here with you then.
Ken, do you remember why, or were you the attorney at the time?
Yeah, so it went through site plan review, so you get sent the site plan review. So you wrote a letter June 14th, 2023.
Okay, but it didn't come to us as one of our projects,
No.
right?
No.
Okay, so you're going to the zoning board for a use variance.
So it is a use variance as well as the full site plan review.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, but that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Am I able to respond now? Or do you?
In a second.
Okay.
Anything else before we let Attorney Morton speak again? Okay, so thank you. We will give you
Okay.
an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, I'll make it brief, I know.
And we're not going to get into a,
No, I don't want to do that. I just want to comment in the fact that we're, opening the door to the variance, which I don't believe that there's just, discretion to take that into consideration. So I would like to put on record that that shouldn't be part of the decision, in my client's opinion. And you have seen the proof here today. I'm happy to send this to Attorney Silverstein that shows, the hard evidence that we...
we can get the redacted copy back.
Yep, you can have this now. And if there's a creative way to give access to the purchase and sale, if I can have consent possibly from the buyers. I want to just end on this note is that on the page 2, the Ramsey versus Board of Appeals, which was the actual case that Attorney Bowen cited, there is a clause in there that says the board may give weight to differences which in an absolute sense are relatively minor. So there is, that's the case that he cited. I believe that, it doesn't have to be that we come to fruition to be closed on this property. It's a complex, it's 2 probates, and an ancillary as well, so you're really dealing with 3.
Questions for Attorney Morton? Anybody?
I think I'm all set.
You?
I think
Go
I'm
ahead.
all set.
Oh, you're set. Okay. Sam? Julie, any questions?
No further questions. I guess, again, to me, a specific material change would be your control of a fee interest in this right of way. And right now, we don't have
We
that.
can deliberate on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for the planning office. Did the zoning board write a finding document and give reasons for their denial? I understand you quoted from the...
The answer is no to that.
So there was no
It was one
finding,
sentence.
there should have been a finding, right? There should have been a denial. It should have been documented, right?
It was denied on the basis of only 3 votes.
Okay, so so that wasn't documented?
That was documented.
Okay, and it was documented in what? We didn't get that denial in our package.
I can absolutely send it. And I believe it says that it didn't pass by supermajority.
Okay, so
Doesn't even
the
say really
only
denied.
reason for the denial, which then we're trying to establish has there been a change of the condition, is they didn't get the majority. And then you're citing from what, the minutes?
Minutes, yep.
Okay, so you're citing from the minutes statements by the two abstaining members.
Correct.
Their rationale was the gray area around the easement,
Yeah.
which one
Which-
of the citizens has interpreted more broadly than you presented.
I would like to just respond to that, and again, if the board wants to rewatch they did bring up the overburdening of the easement. I think I recall one of the members saying that that's not something that's a separate issue. So, I'm not sure if everything changed.
One of the members that abstained brought that up and said that?
No, one of that approved it, I believe.
Yeah, so it only matters for the two abstaining members for your change, right?
Yeah, I can't recall off the top of my head if the chairman also had the same opinion. I could have. But as far as, the overburdening, the language on the right-of-way talks about and subdivisions. So that's actually, it's not just these 3 parcels, it's Toby Homestead and its subdivisions. So that was our argument, that it shouldn't go into
How
overburdens.
did Toby Hospital get involved in this? You didn't introduce them in...
Yeah, I'm not, that's part of the title with the hospital. I'm not sure if doctors live there or what happened with it.
Somehow the hospital owns one of these parcels?
No, not right now.
Well, how did they get introduced into the...
It's part of the title, back in the Toby Homestead.
Somewhere in history.
They gave the 3, that's where the third split off.
Okay. All right. I don't know that we're looking for any more... Are we looking for any more evidence? Okay, so no one has anything else to offer. Attorney Morton's had an opportunity. Attorney Silverstein has had an opportunity. We've heard from the citizens. I look for a motion.
The motion to close the hearing.
Second.
A motion by Sam Corbett, seconded by Mike Baptiste, to close the public hearing. All in favor, please.
Sam Corbett, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Jane Gleason abstain.
Do you want to wait for something?
Well, I have a question for the board to consider.
Which we can do during deliberation. But do you need more evidence?
Right, no, I don't need more evidence. The thing that I'm wondering about is what is the downside of leaving this open until such time as control of the property has been obtained by the sale going through, that the purchase and sale being acted on.
Okay.
Mostly because I think that if we close this, then your ability to come back again for a third time is diminished from even coming back the second time. This being the second time, I wonder about leaving it open until you have control of the
So
property.
that would be another piece of evidence which could be introduced at some point in the future.
So I just don't know if that's crazy. So I don't know that I like the idea of closing the public hearing yet until we've considered that as a possibility. And maybe there's a reason not to do that, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think that's sound. And I also think the ZBA might ask you the same question, is do you have control of the easement? So why not, for us?
Wait till that happens. It
Yeah.
sounds like you're on track to make that happen,
Yeah,
but it hasn't happened yet. And that's where I have a level of discomfort. That, so
So
there
if we
there
close
it
the
is.
public hearing, we would not be able to... Excuse me. If we close the public hearing, we would not be able to take that into evidence.
Right, well, and so maybe my abstain should be a no vote to close it. But, and putting out there why I,
Well, it's
Request for
important.
continuance till August 12th, if the board sees fit.
It's your motion. Do you... And it's on the table and it's been seconded. So, and we have 4 votes. Ms. Gleason has argued in favor of a continuance.
Being in real estate for 25 years, closes don't always happen, and I'm not willing to wait a year and a half. It's before us now. I don't know if there's any relief in the future, but it's before us now. I've seen closes fall apart after a year, and it's always possible. And that would change it if it was done. If it was a done deal, I'm fine, but it's not. Something could happen.
You don't want to withdraw,
Exactly.
okay, your motion. Okay, are you looking to withdraw your second?
Yeah, I think it might be wise.
Okay, so the motion is in question at the moment. I
I understand.
won't act. Again, to the planning office, if we have two options in front of us, it seems. We have option one with an A and B, and option two, which is the continuance. If we were to act on this motion tonight and it were a denial, this is a question for either Josh or Ken, what is the impact to the applicant? They can then come back in 2 years to reapply? Is that what it would be? They couldn't come back for the material change at that point. Or, excuse me.
They could come back to you for
Specific and
material
material
change if they found there was something there was a material specific and material change. But they can't proceed to the Board of Appeals with a new application until you've so decided.
So they could come back to us and apply for a specific and material change again once they had the purchase and sale.
Right.
There's no penalty.
If I may,
Well,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're deliberating at the moment.
Correct.
Thoughts? We have a motion, the second has been withdrawn. So we're sort of in mid-motion. So can you just withdraw your motion for the moment or you don't have a second at this point anyway.
I understand that.
So is there anyone who wants to second the motion to close the public hearing? Okay, so the motion fails at the moment because we don't have a second. Okay, so.
And I hear there's been a request for a continuance to a specific date, which I imagine is,
well, so just for more
Relevant.
education
Has to be date specific.
yes.
for the
right.
board,
Right.
I said 2 probates. This is Edison Lund and Albert Love. One of them, and again, because Attorney Moran knows, this was older than 50 years, so it should be able to go through an affidavit and not actually have to go through probate. So my hope is we will have an interest, at least a 12% interest, or 0.5% of the third.
It still won't
That's-
give you control.
But it is, I heard through Attorney Moran that it's a fee simple interest in the property, in the T-shaped parcel. So I do believe that will give us enough time to get that completed.
Would that then satisfy your concern if we had that?
If there was a fee interest in the right-of-way, then arguably you would have rights. It would be a material change.
Yeah.
So, because right now, it's
Yeah,
not.
as you know, this is catching us, we're all
Yeah.
learning here.
Yeah.
So we have a request for a continuance, which would keep the public hearing open. We would be able to take new evidence. It would give the citizens an opportunity if they had new information, or your attorney had you don't have to present the same stuff again. We've got that. So thoughts on continuing to, what was the date, August?
I think that's your,
That's the first meeting in
Yeah.
August.
if
you're
if
gonna
that,
be-
I don't know what your schedule is that night, though. If you,
No, we have 2 solar projects. that
yeah, I
night.
know I have solar one of those nights, so if you want to go to the next one, it's up to the board.
It's the 26th would be the next one. There you go.
Rick, I need a motion to
Solar
accept the
project.
continuance
I move to accept the continuance,
till
August 26th.
26th. Is that a Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to continue the public hearing for 824 Angela McCune, repetitive petition determination, 386 Main Street. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Jane Gleason, aye.
Sam
Julie-
Corbett, nay.
Julie Moran, aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will continue this public hearing until
A year and a
August.
half.
Huh?
August 26th?
26th. Can you please send a letter to the planning office requesting that? We
Yep.
need it in writing.
Is there a decision deadline as well that needs to get extended?
Well, the decision, I don't know, do we have a, Ken, do we have a decision deadline on this? Is this on a clock? I guess we lost Ken. Josh, is this on a clock?
I don't know, I'll have to look into it.
Okay. Just let me know.
We do need a written request for the continuance, and...
Not
Jo-
that I'm aware of.
Oh, thanks, Ken. He said not that he's aware of. I'll put this in the box.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, back to the agenda. Upcoming board schedule. Any other business? Other business? Board reports? Other business?
None.
A motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Second, Julie Moran.
7:47. Second motion by Sam, second by Julie. All in favor?
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Jane Gleason, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
Julie Moran, sorry, aye.
And the chair votes aye. Everybody left, but thanks for coming. Thanks for your input.